Okay,
Voices.
call the meeting to order and who's here? Everybody.
Good morning.
Ashley has people. Here. Gerald Adams, yes, here. Eve Mark,
Present.
Megan Hughes, present. And our city council liaison, Tina Montero, here, and our assistant library director, Josh Warner.
Here.
And Tess Reddy is here as well. And I think our library director is here.
Present.
Jennifer Reddy. Okay. Can I have approval of the minutes of September 3rd?
I approve.
As second? Or second? The minutes are approved. Josh?
Good afternoon, everyone. So going through my reports, looking back at September for the adult programs for our board game night for grown-ups. We had 5 attendees. Our first film screening of the month was Dave, so very, after the political time, but a lot less contentious. We had 9 people out for that. For our in-person events, Seaside Library Labor Day Riots 1962 with R.J. Marks. We had 41 attendees.
Wow.
So,
Half of us were here, right?
what's that?
We're half of them.
We had some people who
Yes.
had been at all, well, maybe at least at one of the 3 different years, and either 62, 63, or 60. So definitely gives us a good reason to bring RJ back for next year. What's gonna happen? We need to know. So no, everybody was asking pretty much afterwards, like, yeah, is he gonna come back? We'd really like to know what happened in 1963. So yes, I'll work with RJ on.
Oh, he just turned 62.
So he's working on a series 3 basically.
That was the first one. But we understand he has a book now.
He has a book, it's coming out. He's actually hoping to have it ready, for the, what's it called? Borough and history. History and us. Like he will be, I think he actually is practicing his 2nd year talking about that, and he hopes to have each books will be selling books at the.
Great. I was good for him. I was through both years. The first one was scary.
Okay, yeah. Sounded pretty wild. I mean, just some of the stuff
That
he's
was
learned.
behind glass, plate glass
Yeah.
windows.
He mentioned you.
Did he?
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh, good.
He mentioned you by name.
Yeah, no, that is, yeah.
Yeah. I was 16.
Hmm.
He described you crouched under that thing and
I
you
was.
crouched.
Right,
I after his first presentation at History and Hops last October, I suggested that maybe we change the tagline in Seaside to "Come to Seaside, it's a riot."
No.
City manager was not too.
No.
Right. We'll just put that one aside. Table, it's been tabled.
Give it time.
I like the picture of the library board on.
Yeah, I was trying to find a good one. Yeah, a good likeness. I'm trying to find something fun. And then our last event of the month, we had our time with Paul Labert from the New York Film Academy to discuss Paper Moon from 1973. Only had 4 people. I think we were done in by the weather because it was awesome and there was a bunch of things.
I was
Going on.
planning on, the weather was, but something else happened.
Okay.
What was
But I really wanted to.
It was
It was awesome.
beautiful. It was too.
Somebody wants to come in from our little movie show. It's like
great.
68 and lovely.
Schedule little shows, I
Yeah, I
want to
guess-
save for bed.
Yeah. The great bit, I actually hadn't seen Paper Moon before, it's awesome. I personally really enjoyed it. And Paul, doesn't matter how many people are here, Paul always does his thing. If you haven't been able to come to one of his talks, he does a full original presentation for this. So, and he really is not mailing it in. So, if you're interested in movies, our next one with him is
And she won the
in
Academy
December.
Award.
She did. The youngest, yeah, Tim Lanier was the youngest ever to win Best Supporting Actress. And was for this role, and she's amazing in it. So, The great chemistry, as you might expect, between father and daughter. So anyway, so that's our September adult programs. Looking into October, we have our monthly board game night for grown-ups tomorrow, which tends to be the case, right? It's usually after our board meeting of the month. I did have somebody today ask if we do chess, so I will definitely make sure our chess board gets out. So yeah, so we can like in the 4 to 6 range, and we will see where that goes. And then for our movies, this month we're going to be doing some spooky horror type movies. So on Saturday we're going to be watching The Black Cat, which is the first of 8 pairings between Bela Lugosi and Boris Karloff. It's loosely, very loose, not really. I think they say suggested by a story from Edgar Allan Poe, but it has nothing to do with the short story. I looked into it. But yeah, so it's the first of 8 pairings with the two of them. It's also a pre-code film. So
Is this back into the 30s or?
1934, yeah, specifically, yeah. So that's going to be this Saturday, and then since we're talking about movies, and then on the 19th we're going to be watching the Innocents, which is based on the 1890s novella by Henry James, The Turn of the Screw. Start with Deborah Carr, which is a really interesting sort of horror film because it's sort of like this unreliable narrator where is she really seeing ghosts or is there something going on, and is there a mental health issue essentially going on? Considering what you know that Henry James is one of the kind of fathers of American psychology, it kind of makes sense that he wrote a horror movie kind of going like, is this in this person's mind or not? So it's going to be up on the 19th. Getting back a little bit on October 12th, we are going to do a Zoom technically a hybrid event with Deborah L. Cohen, who's a former teacher and librarian. And she goes around the state doing essentially, her whole thing is like civics classes for the public. There's a couple different units that she does. And the one that she'll be giving to us on the 12th is called Misinformation and Propaganda, Telling Truth from Fiction. Seems like it's probably a good time in our country's history to be able to
With the campaigns going.
Yes, with having good information literacy is really healthy for a democracy and for a thriving country, right? So, and her whole point is to provide nonpartisan civics classes and information. So that's going to be on the 12th. So people can come in person, but we will give out the Zoom information as well. So people do have that option. So that's what I'm going to be running in October for Marion stuff. So we've got our October teen programs. She's doing a games day tomorrow on the 2nd. On the 9th, and these are all 3 o'clock on these Wednesdays. They're doing a murder in the library. So I was talking to Anna today, and it's basically they're mushing up the game of Clue with the scavenger hunt. So if you can kind of think of those two things together, that's essentially what the murder in the library is. And then Saturday the 12th is the monthly teen book club, which is a book called Summer of Broken Things by Margaret Peterson Haddix, which is kind of a YA coming of age story set over summer in Spain. And then filling out our Wednesdays, October 16th, they will be making waffle witches, which I will see if there are any leftovers. On the 23rd, they'll be doing this tiny art show, canvas paint. So they're going to be making little tiny paintings, basically, little canvas, little paintings. And then they will be having a Halloween party on the 30th. That seems pretty appropriate.
I'm sorry if I missed the answer to this.
Yeah.
The workshop on misinformation and propaganda, is that Zoom also gonna be available here?
Yeah, no, that's what it is. We will be in this room and she
So I
will be
want to
zooming in.
encourage the
Yeah.
teams to stay for that,
Yeah, we'll see.
because it's right after
Yeah,
your book
yeah.
club.
So it's gonna be here. That's kind of how we'll zoom people in, like when
Great.
fall comes, right? So it's that kind of thing. And then looking at our preschool story times, all on Thursdays, all at 10:30. This week, the theme is transportation. The 10th, the theme will be the color orange, which seems, I'm already ready, I'm a little early. October 17th, it's gonna be bats, once again, very on brand. And then once a year, they always have this not contest, but this annual thing called Read for the Record. where a bunch of libraries will basically read the same picture book on the same day, basically. So it's a book called Piper Chen Sings, written by Philippa Sue, who, if you know that name, she was Eliza Hamilton in Hamilton, and then Maurice Pasquale Doran. And so it's going to be on the 24th. And then on Halloween, they will be having the theme of Halloween. Then just sort of one last thing that Marion typically does is the virtual pumpkin carving contest. So there's 3 categories: adult, teen, and child. They will create a pumpkin, take a picture, and then they will basically email out to Marion. And then they have this period of time, October 19th to the 29th. And then there will be some winners announced on the 30th.
What did you say the author was of Piper Chen Sings?
Yeah, Phil, here, I wrote them down, so I'm gonna need to, hopefully you can read my writing, which is a whole other thing. Philippa Sue is,
Who's Maurice Pasquale Dor? All right.
that's the other author.
Oh, there were 2 authors.
Yeah, there are 2 authors.
And then there's the art show.
The art show is ongoing, yes, so we do have Lindsay Arts, collage work, as you can see around you. It's phenomenal. I love the really big pieces. My favorite is the one that we use for the poster, the one that you see just to your left, which are sort of walking up. Yeah, AARTS.
So how long will her collages be up?
Basically through the month, because then we're getting our next one a pretty quick turnaround. See if we can. I believe it's through the 29th. That sounds right to me. And then our next one is going up pretty quickly on the 1st, and that is going to be photography from.
That's Chris Miller's
Yes.
photography.
Yes.
Beautiful work.
Yeah.
He has a show right now in Seattle.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Amazing.
So yeah, I think that's everything I had on mind. Great, thanks.
And we will be handing out Halloween candy.
Yes.
Yes.
Like that?
Individually wrapped.
Thank you, Josh.
Even to adults if we can.
So you call the teen program, but is it grades, I think 6 or
It's
7?
yeah, it's 6 through I think 17. Or sorry, grade 6. I started with grade and ended on age. Grades 6 through 12. Yeah.
Jennifer? You know, report?
Well, I just discovered it's a typo, so thanks for that. Joint library board meeting on September 10th. We 25 folks attended. I think the overall feeling takeaway is that folks would like to do this again. So we are working on trying to do that probably annually. We got a really lovely note from Roger from Cannon Beach after the board had met, saying unanimously felt that it was beneficial and lots to talk about and things to help them in the process moving forward. And I did want to sort of open it up if we can during my report, just for folks who were here, if they wanted to share some feedback about how that went.
Eve and I were talking about it several weeks later, and we both felt like, it was a tremendous opportunity to meet fellow board members and hear what they do and how they do it, and to just, we didn't know them. And so that was number one. And if we continue to meet, then we will continue to get to know them, but that was one of the things. What else did we talk about?
I think that we were just very interested to hear how other boards were running. I really did not know much about the Cannon Beach Library. And there were 2 other board members. But first of all, they're more than board members. They do everything. And it was very enlightening, I thought. The one thing, 2 things. A big takeaway for me was the evolving role of the library in community. And what really struck me was an emphasis, which I think is correct, on how are you best serving your community, and since every community is different, that makes it unique. For example, Cannon Beach had this very interesting dichotomy of they need more large print books because they've got older, blonder people. And they also really understand that they need to build up their, Spanish language, because that's who is in their community right now using the library. I thought that was great. It reminded me a little bit of the police work that I do, that I often joke to cops, are you guys law enforcement now or social workers? And I felt like the role of the library was sort of, evolving into that, because there were some libraries, not right here, but when the ALI speaker, she was great, where they're feeding people. And, that becomes a role for the library. So the flip of that, while I thought all that was great, one thing that made me kind of sad walking away was that I didn't hear the word book at all. Or I didn't hear anything about books. And it made me feel like maybe books, I mean, you see, every time I come in here, I'm gonna go with read books. I wonder if books are kind of becoming the dinosaur element of libraries. And I don't know if I like that. So I'm a little concerned about that.
I would like to address that. I would say based on what we see happen every day at the desk and our circulation numbers, that's not the case.
Interesting, on an airplane, about half the people, well, probably more than half the people are reading books, and the rest are reading it electronically. So books have not gone out of favor with the traveling public.
But to your point, I think there are many more facets to what the library does in a community, and I think maybe reiterating that, okay, maybe at the foundation is we provide access to information, and that information is in books and it's in a variety of other sources, and then sort of and adding on to that where that is actually at its core. Thanks for mentioning.
I just thought it was interesting that no one said the word book.
I think a lot of the attention goes on the evolving role because it's so new to everybody. Like we got books down pretty well. Yeah. Books, so all the attention goes to the new things. How do we do this? How do we that?
Actually, I was just at the high school this afternoon for the civics class again. And so the kids had an opportunity to ask questions, and one of the questions was, do you think a book is the best medium? And I said,
Is the best one.
Medium. And I said, well, I guess it depends on what it is you're trying to do. I think I said his son is dyslexic, so for him, sitting down with a book was really challenging. So having audio format of the book was really important. Sometimes you're trying to convey information that having that visual and having a video is a better format. So I think he was trying, I don't know exactly where he was going with his question. I mean, he's a ninth grade boy, so we'll leave it at that. But I think he wanted to just sort of spark that conversation about, are books dead, or
Are they the only way to learn?
are the only way to learn? It's interesting. Yeah, so it's any other takeaways from the join library board meeting we had on September 10th?
Lots of good ideas of how to, the favorite activities that different libraries had. I thought they were interesting. People loved our Lego idea.
Cannon Beach talked about having senior Legos.
Yeah.
That was cute.
I think we came up with a lot of nuggets of potentially joint kinds of projects for us all. you know, maybe a Lego club that moves around, or, you know, to get more participation and cross pollination. And kind of like that.
I did also like the idea that felt like it was percolating a little bit, this idea of joining forces, you know, and creating kind of this larger, you know, classic county-wide system or something a little more.
I think you gotta be really careful with that.
Oh,
What
it's-
I really
it's-
feel is that each
So
city,
many challenges.
but each city wants to maintain their own identity and their own sense of control. That's why this consortium is such a much better idea. Because under a county system, there is one nevis of control, and it's at the county. Under the consortium, you've got each one still independent, still in control, but working together. And I think it is a good example of cooperation and collaboration.
Any other takeaways from that?
The food is
Thank you, Rachel.
Yeah, the movie was really good. The food was great.
Rachel always crushes it for us, and we love that. Okay. And then just an update, you know, we piloted that reading program at Susanna Lee's, the assisted living here in town.
Who's the movie star?
Who's the movie star?
Well, isn't it a
He's
former
not a movie
star?
star, he's a Hollywood actor and former Hollywood actor and director.
So who is he?
His name is Tom Ryan. Not somebody you would know.
Oh, okay.
But he lives here in town with his
Yeah.
wife, and he loves to read aloud, and
Good for him.
he popped into my office one day and asked me, is there something he could do? And I thought, I think we can make this happen, and
Oh,
so
yeah.
we're hoping to expand it even further than that, but what we're seeing is he was doing it once a week, with now added 2 days. I believe he's going Monday and Friday. And while there is low attendance, I think it's super high impact. So one, it's
2 times a year, it says.
2 times a week. Sorry.
Yeah, it does say.
Yeah, I was pretty much asleep.
What's really wonderful is that the 2 ladies who are attending are ladies who don't attend.
Mhm, mhm.
But they-
Well, and this one woman who I reached out to Tanya, who's the coordinator of activities at Susanna Lee's, and I said, feedback you can give me would be great, because I'd love to include that story, right? And she said that she has one resident who has recently gone blind. I included this in the notes, and this read aloud gives her a reason to be. Which
Wow.
that's huge, you know, when you think about
huge.
the loneliness that can happen even though you're in a building filled with a lot of other people, if, you know, you're not
Exactly.
getting out and doing stuff. So anyway, that made my heart feel good. She was offering, she was doing audiobooks aloud for folks, and that has completely dropped off because of now having like this live reader in space, so that's exciting.
Are they still doing short stories?
Yeah, that seems to work really well.
So they don't have to remember.
Or they can skip one and it's. And again, the Astoria, just a reiteration, they've reopened in their temporary location at 1512 Duane. And the original location is scheduled to be closed for about a year. Yesterday, I popped in, I had about 6 boxes of returns that we received while they were closed. Been driving around with them in my car for a while.
6 boxes?
Yeah, 6 bins, like storage bin, travel bins. So I brought them over yesterday and their eyes are like, oh, I'm not sure where we're gonna put those. The space is, it's well utilized but it's definitely, it is definitely temporary, but they're making do with it.
And it's not the whole first floor where the furniture store was, it's just in the back,
It's a
right?
little section, yeah. what we're finding here, you know, and I'm sure Warrenton has a similar story to tell. We're seeing, since I live in Astoria, I know who these individuals are. So folks who I think are probably, who used to spend most of their time on a day-to-day basis at the Astoria Library, are now here, because there really isn't space for folks to hang out. But we do have the transportation system, so folks are navigating their way down here, and so we're getting to learn some of the Astoria folks who are hanging out.
Has the transfer of books that are on call suffered? No,
No, I think we're back up and running, you know, that the
I've been waiting for like 10 days for a book.
it's not fine-tuned yet.
Yeah,
But it's
good.
so does it say that it's in transit?
No, it's
Okay.
just, there's just nothing, but it's not even from Astoria, it's from Warrenton.
Okay,
I just-
no, then I have absolutely no idea. We'll take a look at that afterwards.
Yeah.
It could be checked out.
It said it was available.
Oh, okay.
Well, and that option, we actually had that earlier today, something that says that it's available, and we went and checked the shelf, and it's not on our shelf, so then we have to sort of put out the APB for it, where,
Yeah.
you know, is it misshelved, is it sitting on someone's desk? Hopefully not mine, so, yeah. We'll give it a possibility, so. And then we're still, we're halfway through Hispanic Heritage Month, started on September 15th, goes through October 15th. And Consejo Español sponsored a fun festive event on Saturday, the 21st. And went over, I bought the library a prize wheel. So,
I mean,
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wheel of Fortune.
yeah,
yeah, a little Wheel of Fortune, so handed out some prizes, talked to probably about 45 different folks. Really the big push, when the families first started coming through was I shared that I would be going to Guadalajara in November, and that I would really like to have a sense of, you know, what they would like to see on the shelves, and, you know, what could we be adding. And it's sort of tied to the next bullet, which is I attended the emergency preparedness fair. What was it, Clatsop, Get Ready Clatsop.
Yeah, get ready, class.
So that was at Camp Rylea
That was
just
just this
Saturday.
Mhm.
Not only did I get a photo with Smokey Bear, by the way, it's no longer Smokey the Bear.
It's,
Dropped
yes,
He's now just
Why?
Smokey Bear.
Supposedly, it was always.
it's always Smoky Bear.
And somehow it got
It's
Smokey
a,
the.
it's a Mandela effect thing.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
Here we go.
yeah.
So I have a picture with him.
Where was Consejo? It's fun.
Across the street at the Park Center. So they have a facility over there where they're doing they have preschool and lunch, free lunch location. So in preparing for the preparedness fair, I did not bring the spinning wheel, which was good because the woman next to me at the next table also had a spinning wheel, and then that we ended up competing spinning wheels. Little crazy making. But in talking with Anne McBride about preparedness and books and materials that we have available here in the library, and potentially adding more, and maybe even making a section of the library that's just preparedness. I mean, we can't ignore the fact that we live in a place where something might happen. Be prepared. And we do not have any materials in Spanish. And
For preparedness.
for preparedness. I'm not even sure they exist, but you know, obviously light bulb, thinking about going down to Guadalajara. Even if those materials aren't available for purchase right there, maybe identifying some publishers who could potentially then drum up some. And I'm sure they must exist, so
Have to.
that's on my list. And then we're actually looking to potentially do apply for a grant and have a Spanish language preparedness event, sort of a smaller scale of what the classic one. And there's something else in there. Oh, yes, and today, of course, I went to, up to the civics class, even though it's October 1st, so we could include that next month, but it was just so much fun. Her classroom, but I do want to share, this is interesting tidbit for you all to know. So her classroom used to be in a different part of the building, and as you may know, the high school, the middle and high school does not have enough space. And so the library has been co-opted ever since it opened for other activities in addition to it being a library. So a portion, I don't know if it was originally a portion of like collection of the library, or if it was like a teaching space for the library. That is now Christy York's permanent classroom for the year. She has
Is that the
temporary
glassed in
walls.
room?
It's got half walls.
Oh my.
So when the middle school comes in, because it's a shared space, I don't know if you've spent any time around middle school, it's loud. And yeah, so beautiful view, challenging situation.
Wow. I didn't know.
Just something to kind of have on your radar that, which is why, you know, we do work really closely with the library up there and the librarian and, you know, supporting what he's doing there. And then National Friends of the Library Week is later this month, and we are going to have a proclamation at City Council on October 14th. So if you happen to be sitting around with nothing to do on a Monday night, it'd be great to have other folks. And we have a friends meeting next Friday.
Are they gonna do anything special that week?
With the friends? I don't know. I guess we're meeting next Friday. Let's see what we've got going on. Oh, and at the Consejo Español event, one of the prizes on my wheel was a coupon for a Friends of the Library book or item. So I had them all numbered. So as I think I handed out 24. So it'll be interesting to see if we get any back. I hope we do. But of course, we also don't have I don't think we have any Spanish used books in there. But something else that we're thinking about.
Okay, any questions? Thank you,
So
Jennifer.
I just have to ask,
Okay.
on your wheel, when they hit book, you gave them a book and your hope is that they'll give it back to you when they're done?
No, I gave them a coupon so that they can come to the library and shop at our Friends of the Book Sale. Friends of the Library Book Sale, yeah. I didn't have books to hand out. I did have books on display. I had Spanish language materials on display so they could see what we had in the calendar, of course, in Spanish. I even navigated the conversation pretty poorly in Spanish, but.
Good for you.
I didn't realize you had a calendar in Spanish. No,
Mhm.
that's good.
Yep, they're both out there. So. And I just include the English since y'all are English speaking.
Okay, thank you. Old business, onboarding plans and new board members.
Okay, the ongoing onboarding plan. There are lots of examples out there of packets and information to include. And I started a document. I didn't make it very far. It only has 4 bullets on it. And one of them's empty. So, but I thought maybe we could kind of talk through it. I know we briefly talked about it last time of like types of things that you would find helpful in when you started, or things that you wish you had known, and we can start putting that together. So I figured there would be a couple of different pieces. There could be a welcome packet, basically like a little binder of information. It could be electronic too. And then there would be an orientation that would be conducted either by myself and another board member, or just myself, or a board member. So what types?
I didn't realize all the services that were available. I'm still not sure.
And I told you I had two things, which I went back and found and
Okay,
didn't bring them, but I'll get them to you.
okay,
They're pretty old, but maybe updated, they would give you some idea.
okay,
And one is the state of Oregon's guidelines for something, Oregon something. Thank you, Josh. Yeah, welcome packet, and then probably an outline of. Would the welcome packet include like an outline of what we do and when the board meetings are, although that's on the city website, but could be in there,
yeah, I mean,
that kind of thing.
yeah, I think so.
Maybe something that explains
Who the board members are and
or what our responsibilities are.
I saw.
I wonder if you'd wanna have your contact information in there, just to email, if they wanted to.
And information on the other boards, like the art committee, Friends of the Library, so that they're aware exists.
Right. So something that I have noticed, and I think I noticed it when I first was interviewing, but also just as, you know, we continue to change how it looks on our website and we talk more about, you know, sharing these types of information packet things. You know, we have a mission, right? At some point, the mission was worked on. What we don't have is that mission, the vision and values, you know, and I think in filling out some of these forms and doing this community engagement for Libros for Oregon or working with other community organizations to partner, they're like, well, you know, what are your, you know, what is the vision of the library? I'm like, I mean, it's in here, and you all probably have a version of the vision in your head. So I might put that on and read this the next time, but just thinking that those are missing from
Vision and what was the other one?
values.
Value.
I think that's good. I like that.
And it might require a little more digging in, so, you know, it might be, I don't think we'll get to it before we have a couple of folks turning out.
One of the things the speaker at the joint library board meeting, I can't remember her name.
Stephanie?
Stephanie, the facilitator. One of the things she talked about when she came to this section on boards and onboarding and planning for new board members was to make sure that you get people who all she didn't exactly say think alike, but that's what she meant. And I personally didn't agree with that, but because I think what we all have to agree on is that we stand by the library mission statement.
Yes.
And that's I took what she
Yes.
said, but I don't,
Oh,
but
so
I could see.
I didn't take it that way.
Across differently. And I've shared with her, I said, you know, our board is made up of people who, with all different backgrounds, but they are all they all believe in the mission.
Yeah, that's the key thing.
Yeah.
So if you're gonna do vision and values, the board should all be on board with that too, I would think.
Yeah.
Um,
That we have shared values, even if we don't share other.
Yeah, we
With
share
regard
like
to
one
library,
gallery.
With regard, our values are about.
So December will be Tess and my last meeting.
Don't make me cry, Cheryl.
We have to.
have a corn roll.
Theoretically, every board, committee and commission of the city should have a mission, vision and value statement. And should also have some guiding principles and sort of the operational principles of this is how we work. For a city, we call that a charter. For organizations, they call that bylaws. I think those are too stiff for these kinds of things. But, and I would love to see that all of our boards, committees and commissions in the city have that adopted. It's very good work for the boards to take on. Obviously, they would have to be ultimately approved at the city council level. But I think for myself, how easy it would be for me as I'm interviewing people for a board position or a commission position to say, tell me how you interpret the value statement that the library board has expressed.
That actually brings up one of my questions is, and maybe this is in your packet stuff, but, you know, do we have board bylaws or, and I was thinking, you know, we have a mission of the library and then the vision and values for the library, and would that be, you know, is that sort of incorporated by?
I've never seen it.
I would say that the board mission and visions may be different than word by word than the library mission and vision, because the board is really here to support and to make sure that the library, I'm gonna say, survives and that kind of thing, and to do something about the workings, not the operations. So, yeah, and I have never seen any kind of bylaws or operational guidelines for any of our boards, commissions, and committees.
Okay, and that's across the board of the city. I haven't seen it.
I haven't seen it.
Oh, look, I'm
Well,
I'll look through the archives of my files.
that's well, and we have a ton of archives stuff too. I can start reading through those things. Okay, well, that is
And
helpful.
the other thing that I think is important is that this is an advisory board. And I don't think that it's wise to remind the board members. You're just an advisory board.
Does that come up somewhere or does it?
In the past.
Well, I think the basis of that people need to be aware of is that we are an advisory board. We can't.
Well, certainly, we're not gonna hide it. I'm just saying that it can be used.
To stifle our input.
Yeah, it's like, okay, well, then,
But it can also be used to improve that, and, you know, this is the way you get a voice.
it hasn't been.
It's a very interesting thing that you're bringing up here, Tess. I guess I haven't really thought about it that much, but you're right,
Yeah,
in the past, I definitely got that.
Yeah,
sometimes.
absolutely. You get it,
Okay.
or we don't feel important.
Yeah, and it's
Not that we need to
really,
feel important.
no, you
But,
do,
I mean, if
you
it doesn't
do.
matter,
Yeah, I feel like you guys, I mean,
you know what I mean?
yeah.
It's like, well, if it doesn't matter, then why should
You
I
need
do
to
it?
feel valued and important.
And why we're here,
Yeah,
I mean,
Like writing a mission statement for the board
Yeah.
would help that out, because then if the board member felt sidelined, you could say, well, we do have a mission. This is what we're supposed to be doing.
And that's where a page in the onboarding manual, whatever, a simple organizational structure. Who sits where and, you know, what's the up and down and that kind of thing.
Well, and my other, and this is just sort of logistically, if the board were to sit down and start working on creating a mission statement and creating maybe a vision and values, independent of sort of what the library would be, would that be something that you all would plan your own work session and I would just be there sort of as
an advisor.
like almost like the library liaison to the library board? What would that look like?
I think it'd be important to have you be an active part, because the board is here to serve you quite a bit. So to know what you need from the board when they're writing that. might be
right,
good.
if we came up with a mission, a vision, and it was like not even close to what you're, either wanted or capable, but that doesn't make much sense.
Right.
Yeah, I think
So, yeah.
you have to. be-
And on the other hand, it wouldn't be you, the library director, dictating it to the library board.
She's a real dictator.
Right. All right, well, seems like a perfect place to end on that topic. Okay. Well, I'll keep chipping away at this and keep bringing that back as old business.
Okay, new business, the 3D printing policy and procedures.
And I did actually bring this up before, but I think I actually mentioned it in, just in my report, so I wanted to kind of make it a little more formal. I didn't include it in the packet, and I was trying to figure out how to bring it up on the screen, but anyway, technology today. But we've been working on, a draft of the policy that essentially would cover, what types of things we would print, what's the process, what's the cost. Alex has created a Google form that would live on our website. So if folks wanted to submit a request for a print, it would actually dump into a spreadsheet, which is kind of handy. So we have just a few minutes. Would you like me to read through this out loud? Would that be the most useful? Or again, I should have included it in the packet. Didn't get it.
You can read it.
It's
Pretty long.
scintillating. How about if I do an interpretive dance? while
Well,
I-
could you send it to us by email?
I sure can.
Okay.
Go
Okay,
ahead.
fine. And the basics are, we maintain and furnish a 3D printer for use by the community. The printer is a resource available for educational and personal use, not to be used for commercial purposes or to manufacture or copy materials or goods to be sold to the public at large. So, and that the use of the 3D printer shall be subject to policies and procedures as well as the library's acceptable use policy governing computer and computer access and any and all other policies and procedures of the library. So that way it refers to our policies. So the purpose would be the library strives to offer community access to new and emerging technologies such as 3D printing to inspire new interest in creation and collaboration at your library. We wish to help the community bring their creations to life. This policy establishes how and under what circumstances the public may use the library's 3D printer. So then we kind of talk through the basic of the policy, which is, again, educational purposes, uploaded from a digital file. So we basically put in a clause that says, we reserve the right to just change this at any time. And that, again, that the printer will be used for purposes that are lawful and or safe. Patrons will not be permitted to use the printer to create material that is prohibited by local, state, or federal laws. Unsafe, it goes, B is very long. It's like basically, no deadly weapons, mass destruction, pocket knives, things like that.
Or those are the things that some people don't
Guns.
Or look-alike weapons. So just because I think someone actually did ask if they could print something that wouldn't be used to that, but like, no.
Do we actually have copies of the state and federal laws so we know what they are?
Well, it would be,
Or access to them, or you know what I mean, because it says,
so materials that are prohibited by local, state, and local. laws.
local, state, and federal laws. So what are those laws?
Look into that.
Maybe it could just be a link.
What if people bring components and they just give you a little thing and say, make that for me, and you don't know what it is, but it's a component to something?
So we actually, in the printing request, it says, we ask for the email, the name, the phone number, and then item description. So please give a brief description of the item as well as a link to where it can be found. So,
So they would have to explain it more than just it's a component.
Yeah, I think so, like I'm gonna use it for quilting or.
Maybe description and use.
Oh, yeah, use.
I'm just thinking about, gun components, obviously, that's the danger that we all fear. And, you could put in something, I wouldn't know what it looked like.
That's true. There is one of these things in here that basically says, we can deny you for any reason, for no reason.
Good, me too, if I don't know what that is,
Yeah.
we're not gonna do it.
But that basically, covering
Good,
us. Yeah, that's in number 2. In addition to the above, the library reserves the right to refuse any 3D print request. Again, so nothing obscene or otherwise inappropriate for the library environment. And
Just
also-
hit on First Amendment rights. That's just hit on First Amendment rights. We can control time, place, and manner. We cannot control content. So I would say we really need to, whatever we write out really needs to go to our attorneys to make sure that we are not opening ourselves up to any kind of legal whatever based on content, First Amendment, etc.
Interesting.
I know, it's,
No,
I
you're
hate to
right.
have to say it, but
No, that's a very good point.
But we also say, we can't produce anything that is subject to copyright, patent, or trademark protection and things like that.
yeah, that is really standard. I also would want our attorneys to look at, reserve the right to refuse to anybody, because then you start in, how are you making that decision, so,
So we ask that the projects are completed within 12 hours of time, because it can take, that little octopus thing that you have out there that takes like 8 hours. The cost is about 10 cents per gram, and that's to offset the purchase of the filament. So for example, that little octopus maybe would cost $3 or something, it's $2 or $3, it's pretty nominal.
and anytime we charge for anything, we do have to, I think it has to be loaded into the city, fee structure. So that's something that has to be, I think, approved by the city council. Even though it might be exactly what it's costing the library, it's just passing it through. Just like
In the books.
overdue books have to, overdue fines, that has to be approved by the city council.
And same with our copy.
Yeah.
And copies and all that, it's kind of the same thing.
Budget.
And then just sort of, if it fails, staff will attempt another free reprint, because that happens often. And then other sort of logistical things. How long we'll keep them before they'll be disposed of if the person doesn't pick them up.
How long
Does
does
that
it
happen?
30 days.
Has that happened?
Yeah.
Go through all the trouble
Yeah.
I've ever done and then don't pick it up.
I would also find some language that talks about how we attempt to do it in the right color, exactly as requested, but we can't, but we're gotta be held harmless if it doesn't come out. You said you want purple and you get magenta or
Can't
something
guarantee.
like that. Can't
No
guarantee.
guarantee.
I think that's under the disclaimer portion.
Yes,
here,
good,
so,
good, good.
And then the procedure is essentially that, it's only used when we're here, and the type of software that would be, so nothing is sent sort of remotely. And then to your point, the library makes no warranties as to the quality, stability, or fitness of any object created with the use of the 3D printer, and is not responsible for any object created with the use of said equipment, including any harm or injury incurred as a result of any usage of said equipment.
So if you tried to hurt somebody with the.
So like, if you ask us to build you a chair and it's this big and you sit on it and you fall.
That's your
That's not your problem. That's not your. Anyway, so that's where this will be an ongoing. Okay. That's where we are with that.
They're gonna email that to you.
Yeah, and if you, I'll email it with out any changes, but I just have notes on here, so there are additional notes.
Do you have access to any best practices of other libraries around?
That's how this
Something
was
like this?
generated.
Okay, good.
Yeah, we reached out, Josh actually reached out through his group, and folks sent links, and also just a lot of other library websites will have information all loaded on their page, and so all of that is already available. So we did some mashup of things. Some are like 17 pages long. Others are 3 paragraphs, and so they run the gamut.
So 1.5 page is pretty good.
That felt pretty good.
Yeah, wait till the lawyers get it.
Right. And I'm not sure, in terms of our like printing policy, right? So we have, people can come in and print things from our computers or from a thumb drive, and I have to see what our acceptable use policy looks like
I
specifically.
think it has to do with copyright and stuff like that, because you don't, it's not like they have to come and show you what they're going to
No.
print before they go rid of the copier.
Sometimes they like to, but
Yeah.
Like sheet music and stuff. Sheet music. Yeah, you can't be held liable.
no, that's on. Okay.
And how's the website coming?
Still coming along, we had we were getting new phones, new phone system, the city is.
Yes.
We just installed some new software on our public computers so that when folks log in, the experience that they have once they get there, and if they save anything to the desktop or make any changes, once they log off, everything gets wiped clean. So Alex has been pretty focused on getting that going, and we only have that's been taking up a lot of his time, so. But we'll keep coming back to the website. Hopefully I'll have something to be able to show you.
I have found it interesting how many times I've gone up to a computer to look something up, and somebody has left and they've left themselves logged on. It's like, wow.
Yeah, and that's part of the, we're trying to make it very clear, like, click this button to log off, kind of thing. Privacy.
Anything else? Okay, meeting is, the next meeting is November 5th. And there's no public comment because there's no public. The meeting's adjourned.
Thank you.
You guys are listening, won't you?
Yes. I think that you should